What's going on, guys? How you doing? Gravinder, Yash, Harman. Let's get through this quick. Very, very boring day. Nothing much to do today. Hopefully you guys save some money that you made this week. Absolutely great week, but today was just absolute boring. Yesterday's close kind of told you what was going to happen today. Unfortunately, that payrolls data came out this morning. It was super bad. It had everyone trying to analyze it, me and myself included. I should have just played with the price action from yesterday. Would have done a lot better. Wouldn't have taken those Amazon lottos and those shot puts. Would have made money, but it is what it is. Overall, net up for the week. Great week. We nailed a bunch of trades. DACA and UPST, Netflix, AFRM was nailed by a bunch of members. So congrats to everyone that caught those. Today, super boring. Just we opened today on SPY at 439.48. We closed today at 437.86. So there was a pretty big move to the downside overall on the daily. It doesn't look too good again. We have a huge gap to fill down to 435. 435 we have a gap to fill. And my thinking is we fill that gap before we make any type of bull move. So if we fill that gap and reverse up, that is super, super bullish. If we fill that gap and continue down, we might be in for another leg lower. So keep your eyes open. Don't get too bullish or bearish as usual. Again, we are not bullish until we pass over this high of 445. So 445 is a long way away. Look at, we rejected perfectly off the 50-day moving average. 50-day moving average is at 441.86. Yesterday we hit 441.68. So we did reject right off the 50-day moving average. Again, when you dump this hard and you start going back up, these moving averages act as heavy supply. So they're hard to get through these moving averages. As you've seen yesterday, went all the way up and touched it and then just completely reversed. So I'm expecting right now, next week, this is just an expectation. I'm not saying this happens. I say we dip back, fill the gap to 435, and then we reverse to the upside. If we go back and we fill the gap to 435 and then we bounce a little bit, we could be in for a next leg lower. So these are the two possible scenarios in my opinion. But in both scenarios with the weakness today especially, I expect Monday to be a red day. But let's see. What's up, Vladdy? How you doing? Harman, Optimist, Bikram, Andrew. But those are the two scenarios in my mind. I'm pretty sure we fill this gap before we do anything, especially with the day today. It was super weak close. We closed yesterday lower than yesterday. We took out yesterday's lows. Closed below yesterday, so most likely scenario is fill the gap to 435 before we make an up move or another down move. Let's see next week what happens. Tech was super weak today. I thought the farm rolls, again, I thought the payroll weak would mean that the Fed needs to intervene more, means no taper, means no rate raise. So that would technically be good for tech, but played out the other way. Huge red candlestick down day. We have to go down to 350, 315 on QQQ to fill that gap. We are set, no wait, not 359, so 360. Basically only 60 more cents down for QQQ to fill that gap, and then we can see which move it takes next. It's the same thing as SPY. It's going to fill the gap, most likely on Monday, fill the gap, and then we decide if we're going to bounce up or if we're going to continue to roll over. So that's all you have to watch for QQQ. XLF, strongest of the day. We did close above the pre-market, unlike the other sectors, and we did close green. And the thing with XLF is we're broken out of this range. Like I said yesterday, yesterday's candle was very, very weak, but today we bounced back. We stayed above the range. So as long as we stay above this 38.75 level, XLF is the most bullish out of the three so far. IWM, weak, weak, weak. This one just does not want to break out. I mean, if you look at the daily on this one, it's been sideways in February. Everyone's just waiting for a move on small caps. They're not really getting it. So it's just getting tighter and tighter. Let's see what happens with IWM. The only numbers, today was an inside day, I believe, on IWM. Yep. So the numbers you have to watch on IWM is the high of yesterday, which was 220, well, you can say 225 to the upside, 221.30 to the downside. Whichever side breaks first is the short-term momentum. What's up, Phil? How you doing? ES just stuck between ranges. These are the levels I had drawn out today. We're just stuck around 4385 today. 4385 above is bullish, below is bearish. So let's see where we open up on Sunday night on futures. VIX dumped today, so I'm surprised we didn't go up more. Big red candle, broke support, closed below it, but we did close above the 50-day moving average, which is noticeable. 50-day moving average is at 1890. We closed at 1891. So that kind of tells me there might be more volatility on Monday. Let's see what happens. Other than that, let's move on to these charts over here. We're still in the UPSTs for next week, the 340s and 350s. It looks pretty okay to me. Like it was just sideways today, nothing really special. But if you look at the daily chart back here, it's a beautiful run up from all the way from 120, where was it, 140 all the way to 340. So we gained like 206 points on UPST within like a month. You guys remember that insane run up. Obviously stocks can't go straight up, so all it did was form a little bull flag before the next leg up, I think. Just like this. Huge run up, bull flag, breakout, run up. Huge flag, run up. Let's see if we get to start this. If UPST wants to go crazy, the number for it to start going crazy is up here at 322. So we're a little bit 323.50. 320 over 323.50 UPST can go on a monster run just like it did here. You see how the number here? I'm just gonna play it out just so you guys understand exactly what it was. We were in the flag, and then we had a big upper wick of profit taking, and then as soon as we took out that number, we ran for 4 days straight. So that number is 282.25 last time, and as soon as we broke through that, we went through straight to 346. So this time the number is 323.60. 323.60. If that breaks, UPST starts going nuts. Other than that, still looks fine to me. I mean, it looks very similar to Netflix back here. If you see, this was a big hammer candle, and then the next day we had this big upper wick of profit taking and a lower red candle, which is exactly what happened here. Big green day, big upper wick of profit taking, and then today we should have exploded if I wanted to follow Netflix chart, just like this. But let's see what happens on Monday. I mean, UPSC, solid company. They announced auto loans. It's very, very bullish news for the company. Let's see what happens. Amazon, big dud today, nothing doing. Just completely sideways all day, and then we broke out of the range to the downside at the end of the day, so it's not really looking too bullish for Monday at least. Let's see what happens, see if we get some news. Again, the only support that matters on Amazon right now is just chop. The only support that matters is this little neckline, which is between 3184 3172. That is a very, very important support. If it breaks 3184 to 3172, this thing can go down to 2800. Amazon 2800 if it breaks this neckline on the head and shoulders. Other than that, if it continues going up, today was a very, very ugly candle, full red day, opened at the highs, closed at the lows, very bearish pattern. And let's see, it needs to get over 33.25 for short-term momentum to the upside. Amazon needs 33.25 or higher, and that can start this if it can make my line look right, even though it looks like very bad. But lots of times the head and shoulder is very obvious to a lot of traders. They defend the neckline and then they reverse it to the upside. Let's see if the same thing happens with Amazon, or if we roll over, we have to hold this support area, 3184 to 3172. RTX, very, very strong day. Opened high, went sideways, and closed near the high of the day. So RTX I am not worried about at all. Daily candle is fine. We got an all-time high today. We closed. This is the highest close ever on RTX, unless you have Turkey's chart, which says there was a higher close before. Weekly chart, this is what you want to see. So the weekly chart, this is a multi-year. Since 2020, it has been testing this resistance, and we finally got through. Big bullish candle. I mean, there's nothing much. 3.6% move on a big company like this is a big deal. The only thing that's a problem with me for RTX is the volume. Look at the weekly bull volume. There's nothing significant here at all. So next week, if we do reverse and retest this line, we need to hold this 89.22 as support. I don't want to see RTX below 89.22 until we're out of our calls and it can do whatever the hell we want. Whatever the hell it wants, but RTX looks very, very bullish compared to the other stocks I've seen. BA completely sideways. It's going to move with RTX most likely. If RTX goes up next week, BA will probably go up too. It's just they do a lot of the same stuff. They're all involved in U.S. defense. Other than that, we got our close on the weekly to make my play still valid. The weekly close that we needed was 223.76. We closed today at 226.39, so $3 above. Let's see if we can get a gap up on Monday and get really paid on these options. Other than that, weekly play is still in play. I wish it would have shot up more, but these weekly plays, sometimes they play out a little bit differently. Sometimes they play out the exact same. As you guys seen on my forward chart that I sent earlier, I've been showing this chart over and over again. Just big descending channel, breakout, 3 weeks straight up in a line. Big descending weekly channel, big breakout, 3 green weeks straight up in a line, and let's see what it does from here. That's why I took off a lot today, because it's the same pattern. And the 4th week, it went back down, and I don't want to hold it through all this chop again. That's why I sold a bunch of my leaps today. Other than that, Ford and GM just took advantage of Tesla not doing anything today. GM, I'm watching mostly the monthly chart here. You look at the monthly chart, big resistance, just an ascending resistance here. 3 points where it hits the trend line, and then when it broke out, pulled back and reversed right off that line again. So let's see if GM can get to all-time highs, which is at 64.30. So GM, keep on watch as well. Dawkins looks absolutely beautiful. Those $80 calls for October 15th were a double, and I'm probably going to roll them out next week. The market is really, really weak right now. If we get any sign of market strength, I will buy Dawkins $90 calls for November. They're on my list right now. So Dawkins, amazing stock, amazing strength. A lot of people are buying this no matter what. A lot of dips are bought, as you guys see, a bunch of hammer candles here. And sometimes when a stock runs up a lot, sometimes it just both legs like that. Sometimes it comes back and curls back up. Let's call it the cup base pattern. So let's see if it can break all-time highs through this pattern. All-time highs right now are at 88.48, and today we hit 87.72. So those $80 calls probably hit like $9 or $10 today. Other than that, let's see what happens next week. It all depends on the market. If the market is strong, I'll jump in this play. If it's not, I will not. Moderna just basing out down here. Let it base out. Leave it alone. Until it's over 323.50, it's not even a play in my opinion. Over 323.50 are calls. Under 288 are puts. Other than that, just leave it alone. Let it base for a while. It did run up a lot. It might need more time than you think. Merck just basing out up here. Earnings gap, or no, COVID pill gap, let's call it. COVID pill gap up. Just consolidating. Again, these huge companies like Merck and PFE, Pfizer, and these kinds of companies, for them to move the stock this much, that's like a 30, right here, this little gap up right here is a $30 billion add to their market cap. Imagine your company just got a boost for $30 billion just because your stock went up that much. Obviously, it needs to digest the move. That's why I bought January's. That's why we were peeling off a bunch on the first day. But other than that, it looks great. It's holding the gap. It's just got to go sideways until it gets more news. And I'm fully expecting the COVID pill to get a lot more news, as it's on everyone's mind right now. Service Now is one that I was watching. I was thinking about getting in for earnings, but this chart just looks ugly. We broke through the 50-day moving gray average today, down $20. Just keep an eye on this one because there are earnings coming up. I don't think these are the right earnings. October 27th, it says on TradingView. I don't think that's right. I'll take a look at it. But Now is one I'm definitely keeping an eye on. But look how technically perfect this is. Like, beautiful chart, run up, right? Gap down. The gap needed to be filled all the way to 646, and yesterday we filled the gap to 648 and then sold off completely. What a trick. Like, it just literally filled the gap and then dumped down again. So keep an eye on Now. I'm gonna watch it next week only, and let's see if we get some momentum into this name for earnings, because this is a very solid company, very solid CEO. And let's keep it on watch. Why do we keep it on watch? It's a very similar move to this MDB that had earnings last time. So MDB just kind of curled up and then sold off into earnings. And then on earnings day, it just absolutely exploded. It went up 26% and then it kept running. So I'm keeping an eye on this one. Other than that, we got Tesla. It was strong at the end of the day. It looked like they just wanted to suck in more calls and then they just dumped it on them. So Tesla, on the daily, we broke out of the wedge. What's going on, Bikram, Phil, Danish, Nikunj, and Crypto Life? Yeah, so we had this big wedge breakout on Tesla. Everyone got excited. We had that big news. We had the shareholder meeting last night. We have very good earnings, this, that, all good news. And Tesla couldn't even break through the highs of October 4th. So the day of the breakout, from this bull flag, we still haven't even tested those highs. That tells you Tesla's pretty bearish right now. Big red candlestick. Doesn't look too pretty to me right now. I mean, it did bounce off the 8-day moving average. If anyone caught those calls at 781, then congrats. Other than that, it doesn't look too great for next week. I'm not going to lie. Like, a bunch of the stocks closed near or closer to their lows than their highs today. So next week, Monday, like I said, I'm expecting them to fill the gap at least to 435 on SPY before they make another move. Let's see what happens when SPY hits 435 on Monday, if it does. And thank you guys for attending. I hope you had a great week like I did, and I will see you on Monday.